Hey, movie lovers! It's that show you keep meaning to tell your friends about. I mean, honestly, you guys should be happy to see me. If this show were on Fox, I'd have been canceled already. Hey guys, welcome to the show. As far as my Doctor Who special last week went, for the dozen viewers who managed to watch it on YouTube before the BBC blocked it, I just want to say thanks a lot. To the rest of you, sorry, BBC blocked it, citing copyright violations and all that crap. I do have an abridged version of the show planned without having to use a lot of the copyright violations, hopefully. You know, we'll see just how big a wankers BBC is going to be about the whole thing, but stay tuned for that, and expect a rant at the beginning of it, because I have a lot to say on the subject. But hey, how about that Doctor Who season premiere, huh? See what I'm doing? I'm actually giving props to their show, because it was a well-done show, because that's what a cool person would do. I'm not being petty and telling you guys to help me boycott the show, because that's what a wanker would do. There was a lot of great stuff in the season premiere. They were throwing a lot of stuff at us all at once. A lot of villains, a lot of allies, a lot of great stuff. But the best part was probably that entrance. Normally I would show it to you, but then the BBC would just block me again. So just suffice it to say, it was pretty awesome. Watch it. But let's take a look at what else is going on in entertainment news. And last week we got our first official look at Kilgrave, who is played by Doctor Who star David Tennant, who is going to be the main antagonist in Marvel's Jessica Jones, playing on Netflix in November. And I know a lot of fans are kind of disappointed that he doesn't have the trademark purple skin like he does in the comic books, hence the name Purple Man. But come on, guys, you can't have a guy in purple skin walking around the streets of New York. I mean, even in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that's kind of weird. I'm perfectly happy with the Doctor wearing crazy hair and a multicolored scarf. Wait, where have I heard this before? Also, last week we got our first look at Red Tornado, who's going to be a villain in the new Supergirl series on CBS, and I don't know why Red Tornado would be a villain. I mean, he's always been a good guy as far as I know, member of the Justice League and all that. But a lot of people have been criticizing the look, saying he looks terrible. But, you know, I didn't think he looked any different than the Vision did in the Avengers movie. So if you think that Red Tornado looked bad, then obviously you thought the Vision looked bad. But in any case, guys, you can't judge a book by its cover, and you can't judge a character based on the first leaked photo. Stay tuned, it might surprise you. Okay, that does it for entertainment news. Now let's move on to why this show is here in the first place, and that's for movie reviews. And today's review is for The Maze Runner: The Scorch Trials. As someone who hasn't read the books, but was also entertained by the first movie, I totally underestimated this film. I mean, this movie was pretty amazing. It kind of reminded me of The Hobbit in certain ways, in that they're going on this quest and they keep getting sidetracked by all these little adventures. And like in The Hobbit, you've got Bilbo and the dwarves are trying to get to the Lonely Mountain, and they keep getting sidetracked by the trolls and the goblins and the spiders and then the wood elves. And that's kind of like it was in this movie, because at first they're trying to outrun Wicket, and then they get caught up in the Infected's lair and they're trying to outrun them, and then they're in the desert and they're trying to outrun the thunderstorm, and they keep getting into all these little side adventures, and each adventure and scene is like its own little thrill, and it kind of made the whole movie pretty amazing. And if any of you have ever played the video game The Last of Us, you see a couple of similarities in this film. Like, for example, when you turn on the generator that brings the infected, yeah, same thing in this movie. And also the clickers make an unofficial appearance in one scene, so you have that to look forward to. This movie has plenty of thrills. It keeps me on the edge of my seat, and that is why I am going to give it 3.5 popcorns out of 4. The highest rating ever on this show, so you know it's good. Or at least that I think it's good. Our next film is the sci-fi thriller Time Lapse, and in this film, a group of friends discover their neighbor's invention, which is a camera which takes pictures of events 24 hours in the future. Now, what happens in this movie is pretty typical when a couple of amateurs discover some form of time travel. One of them gets greedy. But he goes about it in a really stupid way by betting on a bunch of horse races. I mean, if you had a camera that could look 24 hours into the future, wouldn't you send yourself the next day's Powerball numbers? And John Rhys-Davies is credited with appearing in this film, but the only time you see him are in pictures, so it really doesn't even count. So while the movie does have a little bit of a twist ending, on the whole, it's kind of lackluster, so that's why I'm going to give it 2 popcorns out of 4. Alright, now let's move on to today's movie-ism, and today's movie-ism is called the Groundhog Day. And most of you could probably figure this one out. A Groundhog Day is a plot device in which a day, or perhaps a few hours, repeats over and over again in an endless loop, and events play out in exactly the same way, unbeknownst to everyone except for maybe one or a handful of people. And of course, this term comes from the classic 1993 comedy Groundhog Day starring Bill Murray. But a lot of other films, mostly sci-fi movies, have used this same plot device. This has also been a common plot device in one episode of a lot of fantasy and sci-fi shows. My favorite, of course, being Stargate SG-1.
Oh, yeah! That'll play. How far is Alaris, anyway?
Several billion miles away.
That's gotta be a record.
Colonel O'Neill, what the hell are you doing?
In the middle of my backswing!
Sorry, sir, I didn't realize.
Excuse me, George.
Colonel, what are you doing out of uniform?
Handing you my resignation
Resigning? What for?
so I can do this.
Well, that just about does it for this episode. I guess there's really nothing left to do but be
John C.